Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Boysel and this is my case study video presentation. For this first slide, I will talk a little about the scenario or situation taking place. This case study was in regard to an ethical situation within an organization concerning an employee's annual evaluation. Within the first 60 days, one of the employees came and addressed that they needed their annual evaluation completed, as their previous supervisor did not complete this before the employee transferred. When contacting the previous supervisor, they were unable to do anything about this now, and now I'm in charge of taking care of the situation. This is where the department manager would come into place and the situation is explained to him or her. The department manager then says just to backdate the document or change the document and complete the evaluation, as this happens more often than not. Right when he or she told me this, a big red flag popped in my mind, because if I were to change the document completely and change the date on the document, this is showing that the employee has been within this department for quite some time, which in reality is just not true. This is when I would go to someone of a higher jurisdiction to figure out if this is what I should do or if there's another route that should be taken and when it comes to this situation. So, what would I do in this situation? Well, I would first reach out to someone that has background and experience with situations like this one. I would also make sure that they know what I was being told to do and what my beliefs on doing this are. So would I change the document? I would absolutely not change the document because I know when this transferred employee started. So if I were to change the document, I would be falsifying information. This would, in my opinion, put my job and credibility on the line if I were to change anything on this transferred employee's document, only because the previous supervisor did not complete it in a timely manner. Not only is this falsifying information, but it is very unethical to touch a legal document. Lastly, would I go back and confront my supervisor? I would want to go back and confront my supervisor because they were wrong, but I would not because most supervisors will not listen. I go back and let them know what my decision was and explain to them why I made this decision. But if they want their name on the document for changing this information, then they can complete this transferred employee's evaluation. In this next slide, I will explain why I made my decision and why I didn't choose other alternatives. So why did I make the decision that I did? Well, completing this evaluation would be ethically wrong and could cause more issues or conflict if committed. Also, not knowing the transferred employee for long and completing the evaluation like you did know them could cause issues as well, because you do not know their work ethic or what their potential might be. So for example, let's say I were to complete the annual evaluation and state that this employee is a hard worker and has a lot of potential, but then right after this eval, they do not show this, and then it makes both the employee and I look bad and can cause questions. So why didn't I choose other alternatives? Well, once again, it just comes down to being morally and ethically wrong to change a document when you do not know this employee that well. This all stems down to what is right and what is wrong. What is the next course of action? I would contact Human Resources to see what the policy states when it comes to these evaluations. The policy and guidelines show or should state how these evaluations should be completed, and the key word with these evaluations is annual, which means yearly. So if an employee just transferred to a new department, then it is unethical to backdate a document back that far to be completed. If there is an ethics committee, I would address this situation to them and see what their opinions are on the matter. And lastly, I would then speak with the employee to let them know the situation and what the policy and guidelines state when it comes to completing these evaluations. I would explain to them that if I were to complete this document, it would not be accurate and is morally and ethically wrong for me to do so. Other factors I consider. My boss or leader could not agree with my decision to not change the date on the documents or revise the document, but I am doing what I think is right and saving my job and credentials or credibility if this were to be leaked to other departments. I believe that honesty is the number one factor to consider here, because being honest usually keeps all parties calm in a situation like this one and will allow for discussion. The same goes for integrity and morality of the employee. Not only am I thinking about my job, but I'm also thinking about the well-being of the employee and would like them to get the accuracy when it comes to their evaluation. So other actions I took. I spoke to the employee in regard to the situation as to why I would not be willing or be able to complete their evaluation. I would like them to know how I believe it is wrong to falsify any information. I would also allow them to ask any questions that they may have and help in any way I could, if it was possible. Another action I took is to be prepared for any questions that I may receive from my boss in regards to my decision, as they might not agree with what I decided and want to discuss this further. I would be open to listen to my leader or boss and see why they told me to falsify the information on the document. I lastly would speak with my supervisor's boss, and I would also let them know and be aware of the situation. If there are any questions and concerns that I would be able to answer, I would answer for them. Once speaking to my supervisor's boss, making them aware of the situation, I would share with them what my supervisor had told me and why I thought it was wrong to do so, and ask if there was anything else they would have done differently. Which ethical framework or distributive justice theory best supports my decision, and explain why? I believe the ethical framework that best supports my decision is utilitarianism. So why does utilitarianism best support my decision? Well, to start off, this ethical framework determines right from wrong while focusing on the outcomes of the situation. This ethical framework focuses on the growth of the organization and not just on the individual. So for example, the transferred employee not receiving an annual evaluation from their previous position. If a supervisor does not complete an annual evaluation like they should, this affects both the company and the employee, but mainly the employee as it is keeping a wage increase or other important information from them. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.